Welcome to CrashMagic, and in this video we're going to be looking at card forces. Often in card magic you'll be asking a spectator to pick a card, and then at the end of the trick you'll be hoping to reveal the card that they picked. So often you'll give the spectator a free choice of which card to pick. But then you get the spectator to return the card to the pack either at the top or somewhere in the middle, and possibly what you'll do is maybe take a finger break and then do maybe some double undercuts to control the card to a position so that you know where their card is. You might have controlled it to the bottom of the pack or the top of the pack, and from that point then you can control the trick and eventually reveal what their card was. The other option that's sometimes used is, again, if you offer the cards to the spectator for a totally free choice of card that you've no idea what it is, instead of controlling their card as it comes back into the pack, what you might do is you might have got a key card, so you might have glimpsed, for example, the bottom card, in this case the Queen of Hearts. So when they place their card back in the pack, you might cut the key card on top of theirs, so that although you don't know at this point what their card is, you've now got a key card that's right next to that card, which you'll be able to use to help you locate it later in the trick. So both of those methods rely on the spectator having a totally free choice of card, and then you using some method to determine their card later in the trick. But what we're going to look at in this video are card forces. So card forces are where you give the impression to that spectator that they've got a totally free choice of which card to choose, but in actual fact you're forcing a card onto them. So the advantage, of course, of forcing a card onto a spectator is you know right from the start of the trick what their card is. The key thing with any card force is the spectator must feel that they've got a free choice of card and that they're not being forced to pick a particular card. So if you've ever seen a trick where at the end of the trick there's a prediction that the magician reveals as to what your card was going to be, or if there's a trick whereby a duplicate of your card is shown to be hidden inside a grapefruit or behind a pane of glass, there's a good chance that trick was done by forcing a known card onto a spectator at the start of the trick. So in this video I'm going to show you 5 of the most commonly used card forces, and they're card forces that I use very often when I'm doing card tricks, and they're really effective, very easy to learn. So the first card force I'm going to show you is called the Crosscut Force, and you can use this force to either force the top card or the bottom card to a spectator. Now with all of these forces I'm going to show you, of course you need to determine which card you want to force at the start of the trick and get it into the position you want. So whether you just place it on the top or the bottom, maybe do some sort of false cuts, false shuffles to keep them in place. There's lots of different ways of doing that. So let's have a look. We're going to have the 2 of clubs on the bottom, so we'll see how we can force that card onto a spectator using the Crosscut Force. And we've got the 3 of hearts on top, so we'll also see at the same time how we could use the force to force that card onto the spectator as well. So once you've got those cards in the position, you ask the spectator if they can just cut the cards. So they are free to cut the cards anywhere they like and put them here, and then you ask them to complete the cut by taking the rest of the cards, but then twist the cards 90 degrees and put them on top of the bottom to form a cross, which is why it's called the Crosscut Force. So what's commonly done now in the Crosscut Force is we do a bit of time misdirection. It's not obvious that you're forcing the top or bottom card at all, but sometimes just by adding a little bit of a time gap makes it even more confusing for the spectator. So quite often at this point, if you're doing this in a trick, you might then say to the spectator, you'd explain the trick that you're about to do or what's going to happen next, just to create a slight diversion. Then come back to these cards and say, right, let's have a look where you cut to. So if you want to force the bottom card onto the spectator, all you need to do is say, let's see where you cut to, and if you could look at and remember your card. Or conversely, if you wanted to force what was the top card to the spectator, you can again just lift, but instead of showing the bottom card and ask them to remember this, you could say, let's see where you cut to, if you could look at and remember this card. So in that way you can effectively either force the bottom or the top card onto a spectator. So that's the Crosscut Force. Next I'd like to show you the Riffle Force. So again, there's lots of different ways you can force any particular card from any position, but the way I quite often like to do this is to force the bottom card. So I will quite often give the cards a shuffle, and then all you need to do is just glance. You only need to turn the cards very slightly and look at and remember the bottom card, 7 of hearts. Obviously don't make this too obvious to the spectator, but when you're shuffling, you're in this position anyway, it's very easy to glance the bottom card. I can see that card easily, but as you can see, the camera can't see what that card is. So we've got the 7 of hearts there. So what I would then normally do is I would do a kick cut, just to cut off about maybe a quarter of the pack into this hand to place this on top, which of course is the bottom card that we want to force, and I take a finger break as I'm doing that. So I've got a break here where the 7 of hearts is. You square up the cards and then you riffle down the pack here like this using your thumb, and you say to the spectator at any point you want, say stop. Now they say stop, and of course they think what's happening then is you pull the cards off at that point to show them the card that they've stopped at. But actually when they say stop, what you do is pull from the back where the break is, and you show them the forced card. So again, if we put it back, we've got our break. They riffle, they say stop, and you lift and go. And if you can look at and remember that card, which of course is the forced card. Again, it is possible to also force the top card using the same method. So if we use the 7 of hearts, and let's say this time it was on the top of the pack, so we'd controlled the 7 of hearts to the top of the pack, that's what we wanted to force. Again, all I would do is do a kick cut of a quarter for the pack into this hand, again place the other half on top and again hold the break, but of course this time we're looking not to force the bottom card but the top card. So again we would just riffle down, ask the spectator to say stop. As soon as they say stop, we lift, but instead of revealing this card this time, we say, right, let's have a look where you cut to, and if you could look at and remember your card. Let's have a look at the 10 to 20 force next. This is a really good one. So let's say we want to force the King of Hearts onto someone. So the setup we need to do that is, if we take 9 cards here, 3, 6, 9, and then put our card that we want to force, so that the card we want to force is the 10th card from the top. So again, you'd probably then do some sort of fake shuffles, fake cuts, so that the spectator didn't think they were in any order. And you'd say to the spectator, can you now give me a number between 10 and 20? So whatever number they give you, let's say it's 13, you count out 13 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then you say, right, let's add the 2 digits of your number together. So it was 13, wasn't it? So 1 and 3 is 4. So let's carry on dealing. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is your card. Could you look at and remember that card? And you force that card onto them. If you check out my video for the card trick further than that, you'll see this is the card force that's used in that trick as well. So that's the 10 to 20 force. Next is the cut deeper force. So if we give the cards a bit of a shuffle, like so, then we're now able to force the top card onto our spectator. And I know that the top card is the Jack of Hearts. So with the cut deeper force, you ask a spectator to cut, say, about a quarter of the pack off the top, to turn it face up and to place it on top of the rest of the pack. Then you ask them to cut again, this time cutting below where they cut before, which is why it's called the cut deeper force. So they cut down below where they cut before, turn the whole lot upside down and place that on top. And then you say to them, right, let's have a look where you cut to. And if you can look at and remember this card that you cut to, which is of course the card that was on top. So that's the cut deeper force. So the last force that I'd like to show you is the Hindu force. And the Hindu force, as the name suggests, is based on the Hindu shuffle. So if you don't know, the Hindu shuffle is where you hold the cards. I'm right-handed, so I'm holding this pack in my left hand. And then all you do is take very small packets, like 3, 4, 5 cards off the top of the pack in your other hand and pull away. So your left hand is doing all the movement and your right hand is just grabbing just a few cards off the top of the pack each time, and that's the Hindu shuffle. So the Hindu force allows you to force the bottom card of the pack. So again, you might have just picked up the cards and done some form of shuffle, and again you might just glimpse the bottom card, 8 of spades, so you want to force that to your spectator. So what you do is you start doing the Hindu shuffle and you say to the spectator, can you tell me to stop at any point you'd like to? They say stop, and you just show what is the bottom card, which is the 8 of spades. But as you're shuffling, we'll do this full speed now, you'll see that it's not clear that it's the bottom card that you're showing them. It looks like the card that you're halfway through shuffling. It looks like it's a card in the middle of the shuffle. So as we shuffle like this, spectator says stop, and we show them 8 of spades, the bottom card. So that's the Hindu force. So that's the end of my video on card forces and how you can use them in magic tricks. If you like it, please like it and subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and see you soon.